Before the questions, I thought I'd introduce myself. My name is Huz. I play on European West and I'm currently Platinum ELO. I main mid lane and love champions such as Syndra, Ziggs, that type of thing. I love a champion with high mobility and high burst, hence why I play mid lane. I'm a pretty good team player and I love making calls. Many people ask professionals or high level of ELO people what your favourite champions are or what champions you find most effective. In my case, they're not the same. I find most effective Lux, Kayle, or Ryze. I love TP Ryze as you can help your team really easily, or Lux or Kayle because they can just generally help your team. But these are not my favourite champions. My favourite champions to play mid are Ziggs, Syndra, and Lux. Two of these being fairly viable in the pro scene, where Ziggs not so much. I'd love to see Ziggs played in the professional scene like LCS, as his kit is really awesome to play and it's really nice to look at. His kill potential in the lane's really high, he can deny and all this. But the reason he isn't played in that type of level is because every single one of his spells is a skill shot of high accuracy. You need to hit every single one of them for him to be effective, especially his ult. In a team fight, if you miss his ult, which takes a while to actually hit, then you're missing a huge chunk of your damage, and it's too unreliable for professionals like teams like EG or Gambit, that type of thing. That's why you see Lux more so than Ziggs, because Lux pretty much offers the exact same as Ziggs. But in a normal game, I just love playing the little rat that can just jump around. Since Season 3, we've seen a bit of a change in starting items. The old way to go on pretty much every single mid was Boots 3 pot. This isn't the case anymore. A lot of the time I start with Fairy Charm, 2 mana pots, 4 health pots, and 1 ward. This helps me get a little bit of early pressure as I can ward and not be scared of the jungle, but it also gives me sustain. I love to farm until about 6 minutes 30, where I base and then get ready for blue. This isn't a terrible way to start. It's probably the best way to start, in my opinion, on pretty much every single mid. There are some exceptions, like Katarina. You probably want to go boots or 9 pot 2 wards, that type of thing, but it's all on personal choice. This is my personal choice about what starting items I go. And one of the biggest questions to ask is, what is the best champion to go in mid in solo queue? There isn't a strongest champion to play in solo queue. A lot of it is to personal choice. If you're good with one champion, I suggest playing it, or try and adjust your style so you can play the OPs. Now, just purely on stats, the highest win rate champions in solo queue currently are Lux, TF, Kassadin, and Ryze. All of these have something in common. They can help their team and gank. All of them, apart from TF, have a really strong lane phase, although TF, if he maxes Q, can easily push waves out. For solo queue, I'd recommend using Ryze or Lux, as they have all the kit required, they're not hard to play, and with Ryze you can take teleport, like everybody knows Athene. Athene has gained a lot of ELO simply playing Ryze, as a lot of people, even if they know that the enemy's got a teleport, they never are prepared for it. If they are, then you've always got that in their head, thinking Ryze might come bot. You could run teleport also on Lux, but I tend not to. I like to have lane pressure with Ignite in mid because Lux has really high kill potential as soon as she hits level 6. A lot of people don't realise how important wards are for a mid laner. Wards in a mid lane are huge. Now there are a few places you can ward in the mid lane, but I'm going to show you a few. I've just put 2 wards down in the direct bushes to mid lane. And I'm also going to put some wards near their blue buff and some later on. But going on the wards just outside of mid lane, you want to use these against junglers like Shaco or Rengar that use bushes to their advantage. Shaco would stand in a bush, then Q out. Rengar would stand in a bush, then jump out. Use it if you're scared of a jungler first getting close to you and then ganking, or if they're going to camp around the lane a bit, ward then. You can also ward further out of mid. This bush I use quite often against high mobility champions like Volibear or Hecarim, where you really want to see before they come into mid lane because they have high speed and you want to beat them before they come. You can also ward there if you want to see where their jungler is, especially if they're doing Wraith or going to red. Normally in mid you set up a kind of agreement with your jungler. You ward one side and the jungler wards the other side. Do this. Communication is key in League of Legends, especially if you're playing pre-made. If not, be nice to your team, be nice to your jungler, especially as a mid laner, as you two should be working together to ward the whole middle of the map. Don't go excessive with wards. When you base, I'd always pick up one ward at least, if you can afford it, if not two, and it will really help your team go for the win. Now, Rod of Ages is an item that people build on champions they shouldn't, or they don't build it on champions they should. Ryze is a key example of a champion you should build it on. It gives everything he needs. Rod of Ages should be built on champions that has a low range and needs to be tanky. Champions such as Ryze, Gragas, Morgana all have low range and need to get in the middle of a team fight. Professionals build 2 Rod of Ages on Ryze as it gives everything he needs and wants. Rod of Ages is a good item but should not be built on high mobility mids, as you do not need the tankiness it comes. Just go for the burst.
Can you handle...
This question can be answered in different ways. In Season 3, the most kills I've ever gotten in one game has been 16, which I believe was in a game that I played Kayle mid in solo queue. But this question does spring to mind a game when I first dinged 30 in Season 1, when I used to main Fiddle mid. Don't try and do Fiddle mid anymore because it's not really viable, but it was okay in the end of Season 1. But I went something like 47 on 1. I can't remember if it was a normal or ranked game, but I do remember having a fully stacked Medjay's. Now, a lot of people don't know what to max on Diana, or they always go for the same thing, but Diana's a champion that you can alter what you go, like a Karthus, where you always max Q on a Karthus, but then it's up to you whether you go W or E next, depending on the matchup. Now, Diana, if you want to play really aggressive, obviously you max ult at any chance you can, but you either can go Q or W. If you're having trouble in lane, max W, because it gives you an extra bit of shield and an extra bit of health to live. If you want to be aggressive, max Q and spam the hell out of it any time you can on your opponent. Get them weak and then dive on them with your ult. Easy kills on Diana every single time.